Hello, this is Nate Hughes. Oh, I'm gonna come closer. Hello, this is Nate Hughes, and this is my friend Casey Long.
Not friends.
Okay, well, Casey, his band experience, his musical experience, ended at high school. As far as performance-wise, he was a saxophone player. So the transition to double reed will be pretty interesting. Casey, are you ready to make the switch?
Yes.
Well, first thing I'm going to do before we even get to the oboe, today is oboe day, I'm going to show you the oboe reed. Now, these instruments are what we know as a double reed instrument.
Two reeds.
Still part of the woodwind family. It's actually like a common misnomer. It's really like one reed, just cut down the middle. I'm guessing it's two put together, but you see that it's actually one single contraption. Yeah, what we see here is cork. On top is a wire wrapping that you use to combine the two reeds. Now look in here. See this little slit? That is what we know as the aperture of the reed. Now, my friend Casey is a very experienced filmographer, videographer, photographer. When you think of the word aperture, when it refers to a camera, what are you thinking?
Oh man, it's the opening that allows the light in.
This, in aperture in double reed sense, is the opening that allows the air in.
That makes a lot of common sense.
There we go. So, first thing to do, double reed instruments can be pretty finicky. So I want you to take the double reed mouthpiece, the oboe mouthpiece. I want you to stick the reed part in your mouth. Close the mouth. Yeah, just go ahead and get it wet. See, Casey's used to this sort of operation when he played the saxophone. Keeping the saxophone reed wet is extremely important in allowing it to vibrate freely. He's going to keep doing this with the oboe reed for a moment while I talk to him. So Casey, did you ever play on just the mouthpiece? Well, you can play on just the oboe reed. We call that the crow, because you make a crow sound. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the armature. Different double reed teachers have different opinions about your double reed armature, but they're mostly consistent with this one fact. You want, instead of, how you would rest your teeth on one side of the mouthpiece and your lip would curl on the other side.
Indeed.
In this situation, you want to curl both lips. Okay, both lips.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay, because they're both coming in contact with the reed. I would advise you put it about 2/3 of the way down the reed.
2/3. Being where the teeth are, or
being where
the teeth are wrapped around.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you take a deep breath, you're not going to need much, really, and blow through it. Think about freeing up the reed a little bit. Allow it to vibrate.
What's the vibration?
Getting closer. What would you say your pressure level 1 through 10 is currently?
Pressure this way or air?
Pressure this way with the lips and teeth.
I don't know. Probably too great.
Maybe diminish it just a little bit.
I feel like the aperture is very small.
Yes.
This is very small.
Yes.
Very different than a baritone saxophone.
Correct. Get a lot of air through there. Getting real close. Maybe a little less reed. Okay. Let's take a look at the reed itself. See the opening? I'd say that isn't necessarily too small, but we can try to press the sides a little bit to open it up, make it a little bit more accessible. Let's try this again. Think about, have you ever had a piece of paper and bent it in half and blew through it? Same idea. Experiment with different amounts of the reed in your mouth.
Nate, this is difficult.
Very difficult. And in some cases, could be a defective reed.
Probably a defective performer.
Maybe a little deeper. Let's try it. Try different depths. The overall embouchure shape looks pretty good. May I see the reed?
You may see the reed.
Okay, let's see.
Defective performer, you see?
Yeah, okay. Let's see what we got. Well, what I'm doing right now as I make the crow, I'm getting one pitch. Honestly, what you'd like to hear is a sound that's less aesthetic. You'd like to hear a sound with a lot of overtones, so it sounds like.
Sure.
It's a very horrible thing to hear, but it actually means you're getting a bigger range of sound.
I feel like in watching you had more pressure than what I was using.
Maybe.
So I shall try more pressure.
Try an added pressure. It's hard to tell pressure from the outside looking in. Oh, yeah, more. We're making some progress. Okay, keep going. Try to imagine as much of the reed vibrating as possible. Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect world, you would like to hear more overtones, more scratchy, nasally, like.
Like a little bit of a deeper pitch in there as well.
Yeah, you'll hear the high and the low.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the oboe. Here is the oboe case. Per usual, the logo will be on top, so you know how not to open it upside down.
Oh, it's very basic. This is third grade oboe.
Yes, this is a beginner oboe. So let me show you the top section of the oboe. You see here one section that appears to be where the oboe reed would go into, and the bottom corked section. The corked section will go inside the opening for this lower part of the body.
Now, did this come with any cork grease?
There is cork grease in here. If you need to use it, you definitely can.
I shall assume, in looking at that cork, that it is greased.
It looks
fairly
fairly greased.
This, on the other hand, does not. I don't know if it's common practice to grease the mouthpiece.
Let me tell you about the mouthpiece cork. So, common practice for the mouthpiece cork is for the performer before they put it in, because a lot of times they'll have their reeds soaking during a performance. They'll have a pill bottle on their stand, and what they'll do is they'll have it in there while they swab the oboe. Really nice oboes can be made out of a number of different woods. One being rosewood, and there's another one with it's a very dark wood that is commonly used. It's found in like Africa or something like that, and one of the problems
dark
is
wood from Africa.
Yes, one of the problems with the oboe is that the aperture is so small. Like, take a look right now through the instrument. It's conical, but it's very, very small.
Oh, it does get it.
So what will happen a lot of times is condensation will form on the inside, and even though it's a small amount, that will kind of begin to make the wood crack.
Sure.
So a very costly professional oboe can be like one of a kind. And so oboists will, like, even like a professional symphony, in the middle of the symphony, be taking their oboe apart and swabbing it in the middle of a performance. And while they do that, they have their oboe soaking. So what they'll do is they'll take the oboe out of the pill bottle real quick, and then they'll take by the winding and just go hope. Just put it in their mouth real quick to wet the cork enough to fit it in here. So I've already put together the two main sections of the oboe, and I'm going to add the bell. Here is something important to note. This is a beginner oboe. So there are actually two tone holes down here you can use with your knees to cover up. I would honestly say that if you could, spring for an oboe with the keys instead of the holes, so you can use your hands. But this does exist, okay? And you want to line probably the logo up with the middle keys. Awesome. So let me go ahead and hand you the oboe, as it were.
Due to me not being a professional performer, I'm not going to suck on this cork.
Okay.
I'm just going to
put it in there. It's pretty difficult at times.
How?
You're gonna want to go as deep as it goes.
That is as deep as I feel comfortable.
Let me see.
This is your.
Okay. Oh, that feels pretty good. The only difficulty is you want it
lined up.
You want it lined up.
Yeah.
Twist.
Without breaking it.
Let me see.
That seems about right.
Yeah, maybe a slight more bit of twist.
If I had licked the cork.
Yeah, maybe
it might have been easier.
You know, in class, sometimes we'd switch oboes and we'd have our own reeds. So we'd switch back and forth in the oboe, and that would be the part that took the longest, was removing the oboe reed and playing the oboe. So let me teach you a little bit about the oboe.
Please.
So you see these main keys that line up right here. You want to position your pointer finger right there, cover up the hole completely.
Yes.
Same thing with the middle finger, the ring finger, and then these are the pinky keys. Same thing down here with the first finger on that key, middle finger,
here.
On this key, and then this finger here. Excuse me. Let me try to hold it real quick. Make sure I'm feeling ergonomic about all this. Okay, yeah. So one more. You want to skip that small key. There's a banana key and another key. You want to skip
here.
There.
I shall go here
and there.
I shall go
this
here.
Finger.
I shall go
here. And then here.
Go
and then
here.
these pinky keys are accessible as well. And you found the thumb rest. Now, above the left thumb is the octave key.
This is an octave key.
Pretty nice. Unfortunately, some of these pads stick immensely. So sometimes you press it and it doesn't really do anything.
Where's the actual moving key? Oh, up there.
Yeah.
Except for it's not moving at all. So you should unstick it.
Yes. You can unstick it really quickly with this pad.
I actually believe it to be that is this key that is supposed to be moving.
Correct. Unfortunately, it is sometimes horrible. So let's go ahead and just start.
I'll unstuck it.
Oh, there we go. Well, let's just start with the keys in the left hand. Go ahead and take your right hand key fingers off those keys.
Can I keep them here?
You can keep them slightly above them, but you don't want to cover up that hole.
Sure.
Small tone hole. Okay. Wow. Let's go ahead and try to make that same crow sound in the oboe.
Am I holding down any keys?
Hold down the first three keys.
The first three keys.
Mm-hmm. Close.
I shall use more pressure now.
Very close. The sound that you have made is likened to a fire alarm. Can I see the oboe?
Not musical whatsoever.
Yeah, I would consider that
more sound effect.
Not idiomatic to the oboe sound that you'd want to hear at all.
That is very similar to the sound I have made.
It sounds like the octave key is permanently held down.
Play. It is moving now.
It is moving, huh? There is a key somewhere that is being permanently held, which is not the thing that we want to have happen at all.
I assume that would be what is making some of our...
Yeah, because there are different fingerings as you get higher up in the horn. That's why it's making a horrible sound to react to that. Okay, well, let's experiment a little bit with these keys. Make sure we're all nice and tidy. Still like a full octave higher than I feel like it should be. There we go.
All right.
Try again.
Success.
1, 2, and 3 in the left hand.
1, 2, and 3 on the left hand.
Mm-hmm. Think of it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a song real quick.
Oh, wonderful.
Using this as 1, 2, and 3, imagine it like this. You ever heard of the song Hot Cross Buns?
Hot cross buns, yes.
I would imagine.
Accent on Achievements, Book 1.
Yeah. What if you were to play Hot Cross Buns? Hot Cross Buns.
What if?
Da 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 da. Hot Cross Buns.
What if each time I put my finger down, it required more air?
Yeah. Start with one. Yeah, there you go.
Wonderful.
Maybe begin to tongue. The way that a lot of professionals and myself tongue.
Where do you tongue on an aperture?
So, I begin the note with the tongue covering the aperture, and I like flick off. You flick the reed.
Hard to
imagine this. See my tongue? I go like.
Sure.
I go. And then each subsequent note, all you have to do is allow the tongue to just touch the underside of the reed, the underbelly, if you will.
Oh, the underside is what? You don't have to actually hit the aperture.
No, you only hit the aperture to begin the note.
Okay.
It's a clear start. There we go.
I keep hitting the aperture, but that's alright.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day...
Due to the fact that I'm a beginner.
Yeah. The biggest deal is that you hear it, and it sounds the way that you want it to sound. Let's experiment a little bit with these lower keys. Go ahead and press this key down too. And this key. And then unroll them.
I've hit a wrong key.
You don't want to hit those at all. Not right now. There we go. It's a pretty good sound. Always striving towards the most beautiful sound you can. The oboe is not an instrument that has to be ugly. It doesn't have to be a snake charmer. You know, it can just be a beautiful, great oboe sound.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pack this up. I'm gonna teach you a little bit about the way that we make reeds as we put it away.
Sure.
So, interesting to note. Can you see some of the shavings in this?
You can. Yeah.
There's an American style and there's a European style of cutting your reed. The American style is fairly complicated. You have these two little divots you see right there and right there. And they cut little windows, like a square here, and then they make this like shorter on the corners. It seems just like a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it makes a beautiful oboe sound.
I'll hold this.
Some people believe, not necessarily me, but some people, who I can definitely see why, believe that the European style creates a little bit woodier, a little bit brighter tone. But some people's complaint about the American style is that a lot of the Americans all sound the same. So it really just depends on the aesthetic that you're going for in your oboe sound. This has been an Oboe Masterclass with Nate Hughes and Casey Long. Thank you and good night.